So, like, presumably, we've all read books, right? Like, hopefully you've read books. Like, at least one. At least one. But, sometimes you find out, you hear about a book, and you get, like, really, really excited about it. But then you finally read it, and it's not good, or at the very least, not as good as you'd hoped. And I know that's happened to me, and I'm gonna talk about that. So here are some books I was disappointed by. And when I say disappointed by them, I was disappointed by them. It doesn't mean that I necessarily think they're bad. Some of them I think are terrible, but either got my hopes up, it was from a writer who I already really enjoy, but it just wasn't up to snuff compared to their previous work, or it got really hyped up in circles I'm in, and my friends liked it, but I just did not see what they saw in it. So first is The Complete Tank Girl. So I sought this out because, like any person who has had the ability to breathe for the last 20 years, I am a Gorillaz fan. And while the art is amazing, the writing is just not. Next is The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. I am a big Percy Jackson fan, but this was just not good. It just needlessly cruel and just like all around just not up to snuff with the rest of the books in the series, especially compared to the first book, which is like an absolute banger of a start to a series. And next is Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. This one I was very excited for, because I love like disturbing horror, gross horror, and there was some stuff in it that sounded very interesting, but the execution of that was very middling. The main draw of the story, aside from like the promise of gross scenes of necrophilia and cannibalism, is the romance between the nameless main character and Helen. And like it does get very good towards the end, but it takes all that emotion and pathos that it has built up and just throws it out the window in favor of more gross out, which just does not work for this book in particular. Next is The Rocketeer. I was looking forward to this one because it just seemed like campy 40s style superhero stuff, but it was the most lame, boring, melodramatic garbage I have ever read, with one of the worst climaxes I have ever seen in a comic book. Next, Lock and Key. Joe Hill, a lot like his dad, Stephen King. I have a lot of complicated feelings about his writing. Some of it's good, a lot of it's bad, a lot of it's racist, very, very racist, while also trying to be against racism. And that applies to Lock and Key as well. It's also just like very, very nihilistic, edgy, and just, it makes me want to die, but not in a good way. Not in a good way. Okay, this one I actually do have the physical copy for, but my friend is borrowing it, so, Fluids. First YouTuber book on the list. Yeah. I'm a fan of Mayleets, or Nick Spheres, as she's also known, and I was like super duper excited for this book, because, like I said earlier, it's gross horror. I love gross horror. It feels like a first draft. It it feels like a first draft. I'm just gonna say it feels like a first draft, and it definitely needed an editor. I make spelling mistakes all the time, but the sheer amount of spelling mistakes and grammatical errors in this book, hilarious, honestly. I think about this line all the time. Finally, another one I have physically. Batman Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. So like, I love Batman. Batman is my second favorite hero in the DC universe. And of course, Morrison has also written my favorite superhero in the DC universe. And I know this is a basic bitch answer, but I love both of these guys. But I just don't like this. I just don't like it. I think Dave McKean's art is phenomenal, but I don't think it works very well for this particular story. I get that the disorientation and everything being hard to read and understand is like part of the aesthetic, part of what they're going for. But it just doesn't work for me personally. If you love this comic, good on you. But I just didn't like it. And finally, The Pride by Joe Glass and a bunch of artists, way too many to list here. I haven't actually finished this yet. I mean, you can see the bookmark, but I'm about a quarter of the way through. I was so excited when I first saw this. Like, queer superhero team, hell yeah, I'm down. But you can clearly tell that this was written by a cis white gay man, because oof, there's a lot of oof in this one that I won't get into for spoiler reasons, in case you want to seek this out yourself and judge it by yourself. But there's a lot of oof in it, that's for sure. And that's it for now. There are some others that I wanted to mention, but did not, because this is already way too long for a TikTok. Thank you for watching, and thank you for not commenting on my scuffed up, awful looking nails. It's been like 2 weeks since I've done them, and I'm too lazy to repaint them.